Hello guys, welcome to the 7th episode of the Monoxide Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sean, and this is my co-host.
Harris, Monoxide. Yeah. Yeah, dude, so we've been playing around, like, how we want to do the intro, right? Because it, like, the first, 2 minutes of a podcast, kind of decide whether or not you listen to it, and I guarantee you, 60% of people already signed off, but the other 40% are like, all right, let's see what Trae's going to be saying, so.
Yeah, and so this is our guest.
Trae. Hey guys, I'm Trae.
Yeah, so he has a YouTube channel. He's a Minnesota YouTuber, and he does local content. What kind of content?
So I mostly just focus on automotive stuff. So a lot of racing. And there's a lot of, I try to mix in a little bit of my own lifestyle vlogging as well, just trying to bring people more to content of myself and what I do every day rather than just wanting to see me at the track and stuff like that. But mostly focus on automotive and cars. That's about it.
It kind of feels like an interview, right? Because one time I was in a job interview, and so when I used to run Venom rallies, somebody pulled up the website of Venom Rally, and then they pulled up the YouTube, and they started playing the YouTube video in my job interview, and I was like, man, this is awkward as hell. And this is a 3-year-old video. It's when I was Babyface, and it was me and Doug back in the day. Dude, it was so awkward. But so yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of wild. I don't know how long you've been my neighbor for, but I kind of got to know you and your pops in the last year, especially when things went wrong with the VW. And I kind of started talking to you guys a little bit this year, and then obviously the Evo's on the bucket list for this year. I remember we talked about that.
Yep.
The bucket list is basically an automotive photo shoot discount deal I'm kind of offering, where I have 12 cars or whatever. But I don't know, man, where do you want to kick it off? So you want to tell us about your preparation for Texas 2K, I guess, with the single, what do you go by again?
SingleTurboNoggy.
Yeah.
So what it stands for really is the color of the car is Nagaro blue. So It's a common thing to give it a nickname of Noggy. So I did SingleTurboNoggy because single turbo was the conversion I did on it. They usually come twin turbo.
Okay.
But so SingleTurboNoggy started for me 3 or 4 years ago when I bought that car. And it just kind of grew really fast, and that's where I became this. But my
a monstrosity.
My preparation for Texas 2K, it's kind of been up and downhill right now. The last video I posted right there, it's actually that's from a week ago.
Yeah, yep.
So I haven't actually posted any new updates, fresh updates, but yeah, so I blew up the car almost a year ago exactly from this day. I dropped a valve and it put a giant hole in my piston, did some pretty good damage. So over the last year, I've basically been trying to rebuild it, but I had a really, can I swear?
Yeah, go for it. No, dude. Yeah, for sure.
I had a
You've heard me talk.
really shitty experience with an engine builder that I'm not gonna name, but he was given my engine to, he wasn't gonna build it, he was just machining it, so he was boring it. That's all he had to do. He was boring it and lapping my heads for my new valves and decking the entire thing. He was supposed to do all that for me, and he did, but once I got the engine back, I brought it back to the shop. I was gapping the rings for my pistons, my new pistons, and basically they were completely out of spec before I could even gap them. So they were way out of proportion in size and way overboard than what I asked them to do. So that was way back in, I want to say July.
Okay.
So the car is supposed to been on the road for a long time. But,
right.
I had that big thing happen in July. He messed it up, cost me a lot of money. I had to buy another set of pistons. I had to go even bigger.
Jeez.
I had to pay for more machining. There was just a bunch of stuff that he fucked up pretty good on that engine. So that put a big halt on what I had to do with that car. But now I took it to Dan at PRE.
Okay.
He did really good work for me. He basically fixed everything. We went with an overbore, even more. and that's where we're at. So I put the engine together probably 2 weeks ago now. I just put the engine in last week, and then I took it for the first drive yesterday.
Okay.
Everything is pretty sound. I got like an oil leak I got to figure out, but it comes with building cars.
Right.
But yeah, it's God, what are we coming on, 10 days before we leave for Texas?
10 days exactly. We're leaving on Tuesday. How about you?
We are leaving this Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, not tomorrow, but next
Right,
weekend.
the following one.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yes, that's what, the 12th. Yeah, so
Yeah.
8 days, man. Shit.
Yeah, so the big part of it running is there, but I got a few kinks to figure out. I still have to break in the engine. I got to put 500 miles on it,
Right.
and then I have to tune it. So I got 8 days to do that. We'll see if we can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, so okay, so this, a decent amount of people that are going to listen to this are obviously going to be some of your homies, but a lot of people will also be unfamiliar with you. I mean, you're not exactly AdamLZ yet, so
Right.
we want to get you there, but thanks for coming on the podcast. Yeah, we're
No
going
worries,
to get
thanks
you
for
big there.
having me.
But no, that said, explain to the people, how much of the work do you do yourself, I guess, and then the tuning as well?
So this engine was actually the first engine I've ever built myself.
Okay.
A lot of the other things that, well, I guess so bolt-on stuff and everything like that. Like I can do a turbo install and like injectors, little
Right.
bolt-on things I can do all myself. But when it came to engine building, I wasn't too familiar with it. I kind of got the idea, but this was actually my first engine I've ever built myself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just it was something new for me, but I wanted to do it just because of as cliche as it sounds, like how much this car is an internet icon.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I'm gonna build this myself, and this is gonna be like my thing, my project. So when it comes to engine building, yeah, this is the first engine I built myself, but on the Evo, everything on the Evo I've done myself. Tuning I don't do.
Right.
I don't understand that. Like I look at it, there's millions of numbers, millions of charts.
Right.
I don't think I'll ever get that. But yeah, I use a tuner for all of my other stuff. But
What do you go to
that's fair.
tune?
so all of my cars are tuned by someone different.
Okay.
This car is tuned by a guy who goes by Blake Beetle. He's not local. He's out in California, so he
Okay.
remote tunes everything for me. My Evo is tuned by Ron at RS Motors, which is
Okay.
local. And then the white S4 is tuned by Jordan Price, who is also a local.
Mm-hmm.
And the BMW, that I'm actually putting a turbo kit on, will be tuned by Brian May, who works through Ratify.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of
for us.
him, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So he's gonna tune that for me, see what we can do on that.
That's a long list of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like you get a few race cars.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really classify them as race cars, to be honest. I have one race car that I consider like the race car, but the other ones are just kind of like cheap project cars that I've always wanted an Evo, so that was
Right.
like my big dream car that I wanted. That was, I think, somewhat attainable, and so I did that.
Nice. Yeah, so are you using the Evo as a drift car, or what's your drift car?
The drift car is that black BMW right there.
Oh, okay. There it is.
As you
Yeah.
can tell, it's got a different color fender and a crunched hood.
Drift car stuff.
Yeah, drift car stuff. I hit someone, but that'll happen. The Evo is last summer. It was basically my daily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove it pretty much everywhere that I could. But I also drove it to the track, and I would race it at the track. It was my dig car, so I would do quarter-mile stuff with it, and I would drive it home, and it's been pretty good. I haven't had too many issues with it. I mean, I blew a turbo and lifted my head, but got that all fixed.
Okay, and then you said you did a lot of that work on the Evo yourself. Like when that went horribly wrong, like did you do all that too?
Yeah, yep. So, I mean, it's nice to have extra set of hands always, obviously.
Right.
So when friends are around, I'd like to have help, but I'm capable of doing everything myself, and a lot of that work I have done myself. Yeah.
You're a strong, independent woman. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is nice to have help. I do thank my friends for helping me every now and then.
So I guess my question here is, what started it all for you? Because like you have a wide taste of cars too. Like, because like not everybody is able to appreciate, you know, Japanese cars and German cars, and I don't think you've done American Muscle or anything yet. But
Not yet, but I've actually been interested.
what would you do?
I really want to get into like the C6, C7 Corvette
Okay.
era.
Good platform.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the LS. It sounds really cool.
Yep.
And I think it has a lot of potential with not really doing a whole lot to it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten that far yet, but I do have a wide variety in tastes. I guess what started it really was when I was like, obviously growing up, my dad was into cars. My whole family has been into cars. My uncle drifts and everything like that. So like we've all been into cars. We're a car family. But what really did it for me was, well, for one, my dad had an Evo.
Okay.
When I was like probably, I don't know, 8, 9 years old. He bought it like brand new. So the Evo there is where that came in play. And obviously it's still a really popular car to this day.
Right.
So it's like,
They're so expensive now
yeah,
too.
I see what they can do, and I've always just really liked them. And that's where I got the Evo from. The B5 was a big one for me because my dad, he had a Nagaro Blue B5 as well.
That was a cool picture. I think you shared that too. It was like a picture of like your dad and then you doing the same pose or whatever.
Yeah, well, ironically, right? Yeah, so he had a blue B5 as well. It obviously wasn't as done up as mine. Nowadays, it's right now like mine's considered fast, but there's really fast things out there.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
what was fast back then is way different than what's fast now. But his car back then was fast, especially to me when I wasn't into cars very much. So being like with him all the time in that car and just like seeing how much fun it was and feeling like boost, like that was my first car. I think I was at an age where I could appreciate it.
Okay.
Where I was like, this feels fast, this feels cool, like I love this. And like just the sound of a turbo V6, it just sounded so cool. And like I was saying, Jordan Price is a local tuner, and back then he was still tuning cars, and he tuned my dad's S4 actually. So to me, it's just been really cool to be around, seeing, you know, everything he went through with that car, building it and then getting it tuned, and having been through there with that whole process, and then being able to basically do the same thing with the same car and the same people.
Right.
It's just been super cool to me. So the B5 has always kind of meant something, and he's always had that. Ever since that car, he's had German like in his blood. So that's the Japanese came from him and the German came from him.
That's so awesome, dude. Like just a direct like correlation. Like that's just, you don't see that often. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I started with like my American car roots. Is I got the Dodge Challenger. My dad had American cars, and he always had American cars. Mm-hmm. So I, started out with that, and that's just kind of where I started my whole like journey. And then I started appreciating other makes and models,
right,
like by myself.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's got a few other foreign cars. He's got like a Jaguar, BMW, but definitely has a main focus on American.
He's so disappointed in his son for getting a bunch of Beamers.
Yeah, he's like, what is that, a turbo?
Yeah, I saw that. There's a 1 Series out there.
Yeah, 1M.
Yeah, 1M. Dude, that thing looks nice.
Thank you.
It's
I love that color.
too.
Yeah, I love it. It's not as fast as your 800 horsepower.
There's always a bigger
Audi.
fish.
When you think of fast, dude, it's like people say my car is super fast, but then I come from like where my dad is now with the RS3.
Yeah.
He's making 1100 with just a turbo. Like, well, I mean, obviously he's a built motor, but like he has nitrous that he hasn't even tuned in yet. That car is going to be insane. So when I see things like that and like 2,000 horsepower GTRs and Lamborghinis, I'm like,
my
car,
case Vipers.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I'm like, my car is nothing compared to those.
Yeah, but I'm 700 plus horsepower in the Durango. Your 700 horsepower plus in the Audi is totally different.
Yeah, that's very true.
Power to weight ratio is insane.
Yeah, what does the car weigh? Do you have any idea?
I think I have full weight. The only thing I have taken out of the car is AC, and I have a carbon hood.
Okay.
So realistically with me in the car, it's probably close to 3,700 pounds.
Okay, so it's still, I mean, up there in weight.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's super light. Not saying you.
Yeah, 6,600 pounds, not including me.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's like really, really, really light, but it's still, I'd consider it like a normal sedan car weight.
Right.
But even like the Evo, people think it's like 2,800 pounds. I'm like, dude, that thing with me in it is 3,500 pounds still. It's not as light as people think, but it's definitely not as heavy as a Durango.
Yeah.
What year's your Audi again?
Which one? They're both 2001.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. You picked up the white one.
Yep,
Yeah.
I got a white one too.
Didn't you have like a crazy story picking up that one, or did you have any issues picking that up, or not really?
Well, I wouldn't say crazy. My crazy story was with the Evo.
Okay.
But it was just ironic. But the Evo I picked up in Montana back in April, I think, last year. There was a giant snowstorm that we got stuck in, which we knew was coming, but we thought we could avoid it. So we tried to go, coming from there back to Minnesota, you could either take the South Dakota route or the North Dakota route.
Okay.
So I wanted to go the South Dakota route to avoid the snow in North Dakota because I knew it was there. But the interstate got closed going through South Dakota.
Yeah, they closed those things. Yeah.
Yep. So they routed us back to North Dakota. So I was like, oh crap. So I got to go through North Dakota.
No.
Yeah. So I was like, well, hopefully we can still beat it. So we driving through, we go through, and we get to North Dakota, and then all of a sudden, like within 10 minutes, it goes from like absolutely nothing to like 10 inches of snow. And like my car, obviously an Evo, and with my front bumper, it's very low.
Right.
So snow is literally just getting plowed past my window, and like I'm on summer tires, they're Falcons, so I'm like sliding all over the road. There's literally semis like tipped over all over, like every mile there's a semi tipped over in the ditch.
Yeah,
and I'm just in this little Evo freaking full throttle trying to make it through the snow. And yeah, so we ended up taking an exit. Somehow we made it to an exit, got to a gas station, which then the power turned off, which I needed gas, but I wasn't there for the gas at the time. I was just there to stop driving because I was scared. Right. But I got there, the power turned off, so we couldn't like really get any cold drinks or anything, and we had no electricity. And then even if I wanted to continue, I had no gas, so I couldn't get gas there. And then there was no heat. I had nowhere to, like, the interstate closed there from that point. So we literally got stuck at the gas station. We walked, like, with blankets over our heads. We walked like half a mile to a motel, and even they had no, like, the whole city had no power or nothing. So like we got there, and I used the shower for heat in the room,
right,
until the hot water was gone because it was that cold. Like we had nothing. Slept there overnight. Woke up in the morning. It was not as bad, but it was still a blizzard outside.
Right.
But the whole day it got warmer, and I would say we woke up at around 9. Went back to the gas station because they were super nice people. They were like giving us snacks and stuff for free,
right,
so that we could have food. Once we got back to the gas station, we kind of just chilled there until we thought that the interstate was going to open at some point. We waited from probably 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the gas station the next day after staying there overnight.
Yeah.
And they finally opened the interstate. Still no power though, so I couldn't get gas. So I had to basically keep my fingers crossed and hope that I could make it to the next town with power that had gas. So yeah, it was a journey for sure. Oh, and from the snow pushing so hard from underneath, it literally broke the studs off my turbo, and my downpipe was gone.
Bro.
So yeah, it was an experience for sure. Something I'll never forget. But from buying the white S4, I was driving through Arizona, went through a snowstorm in the mountains for like 2 hours. It wasn't anything nearly as bad, but
you were having some major deja vu.
Yes, I was PTSD hardcore. I was like, oh God, not again.
Yeah, I watched that video. That's actually probably one of my favorite videos of yours, watching you go down to Arizona, picking up the Audi, and then going to the car meet.
Yeah,
that was super funny. You guys just showed up. Everything was just like these clapped out Hondas, and you were just like, none of these cars are valid. Like,
I was like, I'm hate me or love me, I'm not really big into the like support every build type of person.
No, yeah, you're preaching to the choir here, dude. I'm all for supporting people, but there's certain things that just irk me. Like for me, it's like plastic louvers. That one, I see that on the back of a car, I fucking lose it. I don't give a shit whose feelings I hurt. It gets me so mad. Or just cheap plastic parts. Now, granted, when it's somebody that's like 16 just getting into cars, you know, everybody makes mistakes. There's a natural trajectory to having a project car, I feel.
Yeah.
But some people don't grow up, it seems.
Yeah,
it just
like,
sticks around.
There's just certain things like when I see like a 25-year-old dude, you know, with underglow and flame decals on his car, it's not that I don't like I disrespect him or anything. It's just not my style. And
that too.
And if it's like a Pontiac Grand Prix, I don't really care to see that out at a car meet. You know what I mean? It's not. I'm not against you. It's just not me.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way of you putting it. When you say in your video, like, that's not valid. Like, like you point them out. These aren't valid. Like, they don't apply to like the car meet like culture. You know, and that made me start thinking about how in Minnesota we actually have a pretty decent car meet.
We do. It's actually
scene.
really slept on.
Yeah. So and I'm really thankful for that, because I'd hate to show up to Phoenix, Arizona, and being like, oh boy, I can't wait to go to this car meet, and then get seriously disappointed.
Yeah, it's it could have been wrong place, wrong time. I mean, I'm sure there's a decent car scene out there.
Oh, for
but
sure.
Yeah, I'm sure the Cars and Coffee. Pops
definitely
off.
Cars and Coffee and stuff like that. You're gonna see freaking $3, $4, $5 million cars, but
right.
It's things like that where people post like a flyer and think that they can host a car show and they're the new Paul Walker. Like,
right.
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with it if you act that way when you don't really have anything to prove yourself. You know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of people like that too. Like, they just kind of get into it, and they get into it for the wrong reasons, like kind of almost looking like for clout, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really big thing right now because of social media.
It's trendy. Like, you've seen the TikToks too. It's like, man, I'm glad, like, people saying like, man, the car scene's really dying or whatever, and then everybody's like, all right, bye, see ya. Like, you know, just hopping on the trend. So
yeah, I don't know. I think there's a time and place for everything, and if that's your scene, like pops and bangs and whatever, then you can have your meet over there, you know, with your people who like to do that stuff, and we can have our meet over here with our people that like to do our type of stuff.
Just don't fuck our shit up.
Yeah, it's that type of thing. It's like if we're gonna have 1,000 horsepower cars here, I don't want to see a 200 horsepower car here. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can go to the other meet that has 200 horsepower people. That's just how I see it, really. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's a great way of putting it, definitely, because a lot of meets that are around here, you know, specifically say no burnouts, no revving, none of this, you know, kid shit.
Yep.
And then you have people show up and do that, and then everybody gets mad at them. They're like, oh, all these, you know, babies want to get mad at me. Like, no, you're at the wrong meet, dude. You need to go hang out with the other children. That like to hear your pops and bangs.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I take it as I hope, like I feel like we were all stupid at one point.
For sure.
So when I first started, obviously, like, going into a parking ramp and revving my car was super cool. But after, you know, being around the scene for as long as I have been and, like, meeting new people, learning new things, I've definitely gotten out of that stage in my life. And I think it's more appreciated when you aren't that obnoxious, annoying kid. Like, when I did my big meet in Bloomington, and I had all those people show up, and they were revving and two-stepping and drifting out of the parking lot and stuff. It was on me. Everybody was mad at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do about that? Like, I tell people to stop. I specifically say, like, don't do this, don't do that. And people still come and do that. So that's how I get this opinion now, where I'm like, I just can't respect people who do that, because it affects big groups, and it affects people who have been a part of the culture and the scene for a long time. Jesus, long time. And
you're still maturing and growing up.
Yeah,
he'll edit it out.
Yeah.
No, dude, you're spot on there, right? Especially since you've organized it before, because you have to realize, like, I also come from an organizer's perspective. The first thing I did was, you know, host meets, and there's a level of liability that comes with that, and it's like, you see it all the time, especially on Facebook, right? Where people are like, dude, these people are gonna fuck it up for all of us, because to the normal, quote-unquote normal person, I call them boring people, they don't see, like, oh, well, those are the JDM guys, those are the takeover guys, those are the street racing guys. No, they see them as these, you know, whatever, hood rats, or, like, these quote-unquote car enthusiasts, or whatever label they want to put on I guess the general population, they don't see it as like, oh, well, that's the good group. This is the bad group.
Yeah.
We're all lumped in together, and it's such a problem because like we were the OGs at Buck Hill,
Right.
You know, back when we were Team Stance Out. Like that was a packed meet.
Mm-hmm.
I think we used to host it on a Sunday. Dude, the amount of sunburns I got from those meets was insane. But yeah, people would whip it out of there, and thankfully our crowd was a little bit better. They waited until the end, like I don't know, 10 cars left, and a few people did it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see something like a clapped out Camaro go in for a burnout, and you're just
V6
waiting for him to
Camaro
kill
too.
someone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like I said, there's a time and place for everything, and like
Right.
if it's you and your 10 friends that are only left there, and you want to do a pull down the street when you leave, like go for it. But I don't think you don't need to be in your V6 Camaro trying to drift the corner and hit the pole, you know, like it's just there's a time and place for stuff like that, and it's just it's hard nowadays, but there's still hope. I hope.
I think there is. Did you see the I posted this on my Instagram, I think like 3-4 weeks ago, and it was like a racetrack event, like kind of like our proving grounds or whatever. I think it was like somewhere on the East Coast or whatever, and it was like a burnout pit, right? So one person goes in at a time, you know, pretty standard stuff. Like, you know, everybody says if you want to do that sort of stuff, go to a track.
Right.
But what happened is a bunch of the takeover clowns, they all got into the burnout pits where you're seeing like 4 or 5 cars in there, and they like literally had to shut down the event. Like they were ruining the track and putting people in danger at a track event.
Yeah.
Just
can't
a bummer.
take those guys anywhere.
And then when people got mad, it's kind of like you said earlier, Sean. It's like, oh, well, you babies, you don't enjoy your cars. Or you just sit in your chairs. It's like, no, dude, you're at the wrong place.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time, yet again. It's sad, man. I wish that, like, obviously, don't get me wrong, I'm young, you know. I haven't been in the scene for very long, but I grew up understanding right from wrong with the car world.
Yeah.
Because of my dad. Like, I've been to car shows, I've been to races, I've been to track events my whole life. So, like, I know what time and what place you should be able to do things, and I got a taste of what I guess the real car scene was before I could actually be in it. So that's why I guess I try to have like a say, or like try to make it better, because as cliche as it sounds, there's a lot of kids like that think of me as like some famous car guy, you know, in the city.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't ever see my way that way, but like if I'm gonna be looked at that way, I want to be able to have a better impact on the car scene. So if there's all these young kids, 15, 16-year-old kids that are just getting into the car world thinking that they should be like everybody else and revving and doing burnouts, I'm gonna tell them that's not cool.
Yeah.
Because if they look up to me, I'm gonna be like, dude, what you need to do is this, this, and this, you know? So yeah, I try to have an impact for the better on the car world, but sometimes, I mean, I do get looked down on because I haven't been a part of it for super long.
Yep.
But, I mean, like I said, I grew up with it my whole life, and I try to have a better look at it than most people. And for some people, the car world is like their, you know, getaway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
everyone looks forward to the weekend.
right, exactly. Like there was like 4 or 5 years ago, dude, I lived in Mankato, so I would drive up here every weekend just to do car stuff.
Yeah.
So like to go from that to how I see the car scene now, it kind of sucks because I really enjoyed it back then, and now it's like I have to think about where I'm gonna go and if it's worth going at this point.
It's a good point. Yeah, knowing what's good and what's not.
Oh yeah, we always talk like, oh, like what do you think about this meet? Like,
yes, it sucks. I wish that we could all get along and all do the right thing, but like I said, there's just 16-year-old kids out there who think they can host a car meet, and it's just them revving in the parking lot.
And then the cops get called, and then it's just this whole thing. Yeah.
And it just sucks, dude. Yeah,
it feels like a waste of time. You walk around, you're like, okay, let's go home. Like,
yeah, like you said with the Arizona thing. Like if I want to go to a car meet, I want to see cars. I don't want to see cars that I see on the highway every single day.
Yeah. Not commuter traffic.
Yeah, I'd like to see another Evo or another, 240 or whatever.
Right. All right, so I guess I'll just leave right now then with my commuter car.
Well, no.
But no, I get what you're saying though. Like, especially when you go to like a place, again, like when I hear Phoenix, I'm like, oh, they got summer year round. They got a bigger
Yeah.
population. Like, I want to see some cool shit. Like, when I went down to Tampa, like, it was a bunch of Bentleys on the highway, you know, like, it's just like the tax bracket down there is
Yeah.
ridiculous. But like, you know, the level of cars, you know, when you go to other places, it's just like you want to see cool stuff and not
Yep.
a Honda. Like, if I go to, and Balto might kill me for this, but I love the Minneapolis Mile.
Yep.
But then there's certain cars in there, and you're just like, well, bro, the fucking dealership's up the road. I can go see this. Like, I can go see
Yeah.
you saying at used cars or whatever. Like, you know,
Right.
like, I don't know. It's just, I think to be a car enthusiast, it's more than just a few stickers.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And I bought a car that was already, you know, already modified. Like, listen, all I did to my own car was a diffuser that took fucking 4 screws. But like, then there's also people, and this is where I kind of respect people such as myself, because I'm the first one to say I don't know shit, right? Like, this is why I have Sean as my co-host, because he can understand more like the technical stuff you talk about. But it's like, I like that there's people out there who are not afraid to admit, like, I don't know anything about this. Like, this is built by somebody else, instead of just faking and being like, oh yeah, I know everything.
Yeah.
But then you
Yep.
get legit people like you who, even though you're still learning about a lot of things, you're
Yep.
taking your car, quote unquote, by the balls or whatever, and just
Yep.
doing it and building it yourself, I guess.
Yeah, like you said, there's obviously things that I'm still learning. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know everything, and I don't think anybody knows everything, but growing up, like I was telling Sean earlier when you were in the Tinkerbell room,
Yeah.
growing up, my dad he was the type of guy to just be like, here's my lift, here's my tools, good luck, you know?
Right.
So that taught me a lot, and there's obviously still things like I won't understand and I need help with, but I'd like to say that him being hard on me, even still to this day, has taught me a lot. And as a kid, obviously you hate that. It's like, why are you so mean to me, you know?
It teaches you so much, though.
It really does. Like, tough love is a real thing. So him, yeah, I mean, I'm very, very grateful to be able to have him, you know, guide me along the way if I need it, or giving me the resources like the shop and everything. But yeah, I've tried to learn everything that I can myself, and I still try to learn everything to this day. But like you said, if I need help, I will get help. And there's some things I don't know, and I will accept that.
Yeah, and I think that also really helps since you're a YouTuber and you create content, so that's content in itself.
Yeah, that's another big thing too. Like, really, honestly, like, I like building cars and stuff, but like building my engine has been the biggest stress in my life for like the last 6 months. So like, if I had the money, I would probably pay somebody to do it. But
Yeah.
the fact that I can get content out of it and I can learn like a lot of stuff from it, and just saying like I did this is huge for me. So this is definitely something that I learned, and I don't know. It's something that I had to try at least once, and I could definitely say it's not easy, but I could, you know, after doing it one time, I think I could do it again.
Yeah, it only gets easier. You learn
Yeah.
from your mistakes, and you won't make them again.
Yeah, there's a couple mistakes I made that I definitely won't do again.
I guess that was one of the questions I had for you. So, again, I think you're younger than me, right? How old are you again?
I'm going this month. I'm turning 21.
21. So you're about 2.5 years younger than me then. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I guess what has been the hardest part in your journey, whether it's the Evo or the Audi or whatever the case is? What have been some of the bigger mess ups that like you can kind of like help a newer enthusiast with?
The biggest mess ups.
I'd say probably like project cars are a lot more to handle than what most people think. You know, if you get 75% way done, that it's that last 25% that's usually like the wiring, the small things that makes up the last 25%, and that can get really tedious and hard to bite.
Yeah, to jump off that, I think people don't understand how well, for one, how costly it is, and for two, like, how difficult it actually is to do things on these cars. There's so many moving mechanical things on an engine that if you like do one thing wrong, you could just destroy the entire thing. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that it's cars are so weird. There's if you don't understand them, it's really hard to understand them, and it's really costly, and I think there's
Well, to work your way up from like basic knowledge, because again, like I'm a fairly quick learner, but I told Sean when I was flying back from Tampa, I threw on Engineering Explained, right? And I was like learning how like all these different things work, or like I'll be watching like Scrap Life Garage, which is one of my favorite YouTubers right now, just because like they just go like have you seen Scrap Life Garage or no?
I don't think so.
So they literally buy cars off auction or whatever, and they try to rebuild them or part them out. So it's like you see all these different parts, and you're just like, oh, well, that's how that works. So it's like just learning all those little things, and it's crazy because then all these little systems have to work perfectly.
Yeah.
Or your ship blows up, or you just wreck your car altogether.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, especially with building my engine, like I had a million questions that I had to ask because I don't like taking chances. Like, especially being how deep into like with money I was into this car.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take chances. Like I said, my dad was like here's my tools, go ahead, good luck type of guy. So when I ask questions, he's kind of like, just do it. Don't ask me. And if it becomes a problem, then it's a problem for later, which I hate because there's things like right now, like I said, my car's leaking oil, and it's something with where I sealed it. So the upper oil pan or the rear main seal, it's just dripping down the bell housing. So it's like something like that. It's like I asked my dad specifically, like, how should I do this so this doesn't leak? Right. And he didn't want to answer, so I did how I did it, and now it's leaking. So it's a problem, and I guess the damage is already done. But yeah, I just think that what did I say again?
Just kind of telling us about kind of like how it was like this whole. I don't know, Sean. Where do we start? I can't remember the jumping off point for that one.
We were talking about what was like the one thing that you'd let like all car enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Like about getting into like
letting the car. Sorry, the car enthusiasts. Yeah, the one thing I'd let them know is that if they're gonna do it, it's way more costly than they should expect. That's the main question I get is like, or not even question. But people always be like, oh, I'm gonna build my car for 1,000 horsepower, but it's like people who don't really even know about cars. And I'm like, I'm all for it, dude, but like be aware of how much this is going to cost, and do you even have a shop to do this? Do you have the tools to do that? And like, I'm willing to help if you're my friend, but you got to be prepared for what's really in store, because some people, even me to this day, there's still things that I'm like, holy shit, that was a lot more work than I thought it would be. Right.
Yeah, well, I think you're resourceful too.
Yeah, you're doing like a lot of like custom fabrication stuff too.
Yeah, I mean...
Like these aren't just kits that you can buy on eBay or from a reputable supplier. You have just like straight up like fab or like welding that you have to do, and you have to create custom exhaust. You have to create custom downpipes, charge pipes, like all this stuff. Like, so that adds like a whole nother level to like just doing like full bolt-ons.
Right, and that's the thing, and why I feel like I'm capable of telling people like, don't do it if you don't have the money to do it, because I've been there, and like this is my second engine for this car. My last, like you said, I bought this car modified already. Like I was trying to avoid doing it myself, and I didn't because I blew it up. So I had to do it myself over again. But yeah, if you can avoid, I guess, putting yourself through that, because it costs a lot of money, unless you really want to learn and you have the money and you're dedicated to do it, then I'm all for you learning.
Yeah.
But
trial by fire for sure.
If you're into cars and you want to build your car, just be aware of everything that comes with it.
I think you're right there, because like, and I have friends that have been in similar positions, and if you have a second car, it's a lot easier too. Whereas for me, my car is my daily, right? So I can like I talk to people and I'm like, you should do E85, and I'm like, well, I probably could, but then that's like kind of where I max out with this platform, where then I start running into potential issues, or the reliability severely goes down, So it's just like, that's the other thing. I've seen people stress out, like, oh man, I gotta get this car done by tonight, or I can't go to work tomorrow. And it's just like, this doesn't sound like a smart way of going about this.
Yeah, that's not a healthy relationship.
No, it's not. But if you're able to, put in a time, like if you're able to take 6 months on a car, you know, even though it's stressful, it's significantly less stressful than you have to go to work tomorrow.
You're gonna end up doing it right when you have the time, and you're not on a time crunch.
Definitely, having more than one car if you're gonna build a car would be the smarter decision. Me, I'm a kind of a dumbass, so every car that I have is modified and on E85 it makes 400 or 500 horsepower or more. But I've been lucky and haven't had too many things go wrong. I've never been stranded.
It would be impressive if all your fucking cars were down, though. That'd be like a feat of achievement. Like, that'd be nuts.
Yeah, I hope that day doesn't come. But
yeah, hopefully not. Knock on the wood. Hopefully there's wood in this table.
I think that's a sign from the car gods that you're doing too much.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about banging gears, because you were out there a few weeks ago, and I see this video pulled up here. I mean, what was that experience like? How did that happen and all that fun stuff?
It was a lot of fun. When is this gonna come out? This podcast? So
Probably Monday.
Okay, so I can't say too much. But
all right. Yeah. What are you allowed to say? I guess.
I guess the experience more than anything was really cool. Like being I want to say wannabe influencer, since I'm trying to be something.
You're a micro-influencer, though, locally.
Right, yeah. Being around all those people, like, noticing that they all just are normal people is so surreal to me. Because it's like, I watch, like, AdamLZ, for example. Like, you're wearing his shirt right now.
Yeah, right.
That dude is, like, one of the biggest car YouTubers out there, and he's one of my favorites. I watch him.
He's genuine, too.
Yeah, I watch him every day, and, like, just to see, like, his operation and... like, just to be around him every single day for a week and seeing that he's a normal dude and, like, being able to have conversations with all these people that have millions of people who are influenced by them, it's just crazy. So, Banging Gears was really cool. The production was insane. I actually got to drive the camera car for a little bit. Have you seen the camera car? Yeah, the Golden Peaks camera car. I don't know why me, but they were like, hey, Trae, come drive this. We got to go do some video. And I'm like, okay. So,
didn't you crash a BMW or whatever drifting?
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, drive our BMW. Let's see how this goes.
That wasn't my fault, though. You want me to get into detail about that?
Sure, you can get into that. Yeah, why not?
Let me explain. What happened was, so this is, I just got into drifting, like, actually drifting last year.
Okay.
But, my first time tandeming was that same weekend. I'm assuming everybody knows what tandeming is.
Oh,
explain
we
for the
should
viewer,
definitely explain.
So tandeming is basically just drifting with one or more cars with you.
Right,
so,
side by side.
Yes, side by side. You're basically following a leader, and you're trying to get as close to them as you can. So what I was doing was, I got invited to night drifting, which is they basically watch you all day, and they're like, you're good enough to come drift at night and put on a show. The night drifting is for entertainment. People, because there's nothing else going on. People come there and they literally just watch you drift at night. So I was like, sick. I'm freaking valid. I get to night drift. So I'm like so excited. I'm like, let's do it. My uncle, like I said, my uncle's a drifter, and it was his first time night drifting as well. So I'm like, well, I don't know any of these other drivers. Let me just drift with you. I'll drift behind you. I'll follow you. Little did I know, at night they take down the course.
Oh,
so
okay.
they don't have any cones out there. There's barely any light. You can't see anything, right? So it's basically follow the leader. And I have no idea what kind of course my uncle's going to do.
Right, yeah.
So I'm following him, and I'm thinking, like, I didn't realize that there was no cones until I'm mid-drift already. And I'm like, where are the cones? Where am I going?
Yeah. So
then I'm like, shit. So I straighten back out, and he's still drifting. I'm on the inside. He's on the outside. I'm like, okay, I got to try to catch up to him. So I'm normal driving now, and I'm flying to catch up to him. And as soon as I freaking whip it to drift, to flick it into transition, he whips the other way, does like 360s.
Right.
And he's spinning out, and at the same time he's spinning out, I'm going 70 miles per hour, just went into my drift. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to fucking nail him. So then I'm like slamming the brakes. I'm like, oh no, I'm pulling the hydro. I'm like, what do I do? And then I try to go around him, but at the same time I'm understeering, and he backs up accidentally, and it was just enough for me to clip him.
No.
And it happened so fast, dude. It was insane. But it sucked because he just finished the body kit on it. He just painted it. Like, I didn't care so much about my car because Actually, my dad bought me that car. That's the first car that my dad bought me.
Okay.
But he bought me that car, and he got it for like $4,000. So I'm like, it's a limited drift car. That's what it is. So it's gonna happen. My car, I didn't really care so much about. That car was like my uncle's race car, his drift car, his weekend commuter. So I'm like, fuck. Now I feel like an asshole because I railed him, but he's super understandable, and he understood, and accidents happen. But yes, I did crash the BMW.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say it was intentional, and I can't say that it was my fault.
Bro, imagine you admitted it was intentional on this podcast and he heard it. It's like, yeah, man, fuck him, I railed him.
But yeah, so banging gears.
Driving for Jacob.
Yep, so they told me to drive BMW, super cool. I took some videos of that. I got that on YouTube too. But like, I think everything they did was super cool, and like seeing the wide variety of cars and like all these different builds that aren't regular traffic. I'm like, wow, these are sick. There's Rob Dom's 4-rotor was there. That thing was insane. Horsepower. It sounded amazing. I was like, yeah, it was like car heaven for me. Being there for a week and seeing all these influencers and all these really cool cars, super sick. So super grateful to be a part of that. My car wasn't on it, but rumor has it that it might be on the season 2.
Oh,
that'd be sweet. Which car?
The Noggy.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that'd be sweet, dude. Yeah, I texted Jacob. I'm like, dude, let me know for season 2. We'll bring out the AMG. You know, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I was talking to Ben, Ben Boris, or Ben. Not his last name's not Boris, but his Snapchat.
Oh, Ben from GPP.
Yeah, I think so. He has the maroon GTR.
Yeah. He's sweet. He's cool.
Yeah, super cool, dude. I was in the camera car with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I think we definitely need to have your Noggy on season 2." And I was like, "That would be really cool."
Those guys love German cars too.
Yeah.
So that's their wheelhouse.
Yeah, the camera car's insane, dude, and that thing sounds nuts.
Yeah, don't they have
the Veltronic on it?
Yeah, I haven't heard it in person, I don't think yet, but yeah, they got a sweet gnarly exhaust setup there.
Yeah, he was like, press this button. I was like, all right. He was like, floor it. I was like, sick. So that was cool, definitely.
No, that's awesome, dude. I thought you were gonna hop in for a second. No, so that's awesome. So banging gears, we covered everything about your car here. What's up next? So, I mean, Texas 2K is in 8 days, so you're kind of all in on the Noggy right now, just trying to make everything work.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, my backup plan is I'll take the Evo.
Right, to at least have fun down there.
Yeah, just to have a car, really. Honestly, that car, to me, I know you're going to hate me for saying this, it's not that fast. It makes like mid-500s.
Right, well, like we said earlier, there's a bigger fish, right? Like when I tell people, like, I want 1,000 to be a reasonable car, and they're like, dude, 1,000's the most I've ever heard. I'm like, yeah, but I've, like, you know me, I've been in 2,000 horsepower Vipers, and you've been in fast cars too, so it's like, you know what fast is. Yeah. So it's like 500, like, oh, that's a cute
horsepower
daily.
Spoiled is the way I put it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Somebody talked about that the other day. I think we saw a video somewhere on TikTok or whatever. It's like, we are spoiled with horsepower nowadays.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think any real car enthusiast could appreciate like you know, a 500 horsepower Evo still.
Yeah. No, definitely. I enjoy that car, and it's got, like, every car that I own is used for its purpose.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like, I love that car, but it's, to me, like, not the car that made me who I am.
Okay.
So the Noggy is, like, my main priority, I would say. And that car is the car that, like, I need to have in Texas. So taking the Evo is my backup plan, but it's not what I want to do. So, yeah, over these next 8 days, over the last month, I've basically been in the shop every single day from 10 to midnight.
I'm surprised you're here, to be honest, after hearing that.
I mean, I'm at the point now where it runs and drives under its own power. So, like, I feel like I can kind of relax, but at the same time, I just got to find these little kinks before I can get it out there. But, yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully it can make it, but I might be having to tune in Texas.
You're gonna tune it in Texas?
If
well,
it comes
remote
to that.
tuning, right?
Yeah, I'm remote tuning, so just the only thing is obviously anything can go wrong, and I don't have a lot of resources in Texas.
Yeah.
So if I'm tuning out there and I freaking blow a clamp or something and I can't find another one, or I don't know, I need a knock sensor or something, like,
right,
where am I gonna get that?
And you're trailering down, I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
Are you is your dad taking his RS3 down too?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so are you guys gonna trailer together, or what's
my car? Well, we're all leaving the same day, but I'm on a 2-car trailer with I don't know if you know Sam, our service advisor.
So he's bringing yeah, dude. I saw his car in a dyno. This is the car I was talking about a couple weeks ago, Sean. The black Audi, what was it, S4? I think it was.
Yep.
It's like pushing like 800 wheel or something. Insane.
Yeah. So the plan is to have both of our cars on the same trailer.
Okay.
Old S4, new S4, and we both should be. Well, he for sure is making 800. I should be 800 or more. So we kind of want to hold it down for ratified. Obviously, RS3 will be there too. But yeah, we got a few other guys that will be staying with us, and we'll have a wider variety of cars. But as for ratified, it's basically me, my dad, and Sam for cars.
Okay.
Yeah, should be fun if I can make it.
Yeah, that's all really cool. Definitely looking forward to. I hope you're down there. I want to race it.
Yeah. Are you taking yours?
The Durango.
Yeah.
I'll be in the Durango. And I'll also have to do some tuning with the welds. Since the weather's not very right for drag radials up here, I can't tune up here. So when I'm down in Texas, I'll be remote tuning for that.
Yeah, that's the thing too for me. Even being all-wheel drive. Are you all-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive?
Yeah, even being all-wheel drive for me, it's like tuning down here right now in this weather, and it's kind of sketchy because I'm on a 225 tire.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and that's all I run. People get like surprised by that, but that's
wow.
like a new 225
That's
40
smaller
tire.
than mine on a GTI, dude.
Yeah, I feel like those are skinny. Like.
Yeah, they are, but I don't have too many issues with it. I've never on a really cold night, if I do like a 40 roll, then yeah, I'll spin a little bit. But mainly my car's geared and the turbo is more top end.
Right.
So I only
True.
do 60 rolls to like 60 to like 140 is usually what I do. So I don't really have issues with spinning. But when it comes to tuning, I obviously have to start lower and go all the way up. And doing that in this weather, all the way up to 800 horsepower on that 20 degrees, it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, and you can't really do that on a dyno.
Yeah, I mean, my plan was if I could figure out this oil leak soon enough, I want to dial in fueling on the street because I don't really have to do any pulls for that. But once it comes to boost, I can do it on a dyno. I can literally just do a pull, turn up the boost, do a pull, turn up the boost after fueling is ready. So. If I can get it done in time, I'll probably hit the dyno so I can even have a number to share as well because I know they've been waiting for a year for that.
Yeah, people love to see that number.
Yeah, so we'll see, but hopefully we can we'll make it regardless, but with the car or not, we'll see.
Right. Yeah, that's exciting stuff, man. I can't wait. What tire are you running then? If it's 225, what?
It's just a Firehawk Indy 500.
Okay.
That's all I've ever ran on it. I might switch to like the biggest thing is the car is not that wide, so
right.
I can't really run like a super wide tire. Like a 245 is probably like the biggest I can fit under there.
Same here,
yeah. Yeah, especially for how low the car is. I should raise it, but I also like to take it to car shows and look cool. So.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I guess. Yes. Because I love PS4s. I can't wait to get my summer tires on, dude. Because this thing, it feels like it's so squishy, like on the winter tires. Like I'll take a corner, and it's just so weird, like switching between tires, and so
yeah,
the Firehawks are like a pretty cheap tire, aren't they?
Yeah, I think I got them. I think they're like 600 for the set.
Yeah, Quattro though.
Yeah,
I got that Quattro.
It works, man. It works, especially with the way that I drive the car. I don't do anything lower than 60 miles per hour most of the time. So
true. Yeah, anytime I do like a 40 roll, I'll spin. Granted in the summer when I have a proper tire, then yeah, sure, I'll hook no problem because tiny power, but
yeah.
But no. So I guess I only have one last question for you from me.
Okay.
So when you're building these cars, right, and because you are learning so much, like what do you do for a resource? Do you ask somebody in person that you know from the car community? Like do you go to YouTube or a little bit of both? Like what do you do?
It depends on how big it is.
Okay.
Like when it comes to things like I don't know, looking at a serpentine belt diagram because I forget how it's routed, then I'll just Google it.
Right.
But if it's like building an engine and I need to remember how to gap a ring for clearance, then I'm gonna ask probably my dad or the engine builder at the shop.
Okay.
Or most of the time, like I said, I'm grateful for my resources because I usually do have people around me, or at least one phone call away, to be able to just be like, hey, like, just to make sure, you know, am I doing this right, or what do I need to change before I do this? So luckily I do have that. But yeah, the little things most of the time I can just figure it out trial and error, or I'll just look at a quick Google form or YouTube video. YouTube mechanics are slept on, dude.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need those.
Well, that's the nice thing about my car. So the previous owner, he's a YouTuber as well, Hardway Learning, and he did everything on my car on YouTube. So I literally have a manual there for anything I could possibly need. So
Yeah.
YouTube mechanics are legit, dude.
Dude, they really are. Like, you can't, like, being a car guy, dude, you can't, like you were saying earlier, I don't really get to flex and saying, like, I did everything myself if you didn't do everything yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, dude. Okay. So you just fucking triggered a rant. I've been saying this for years. Here's what gets me fired up: the built not bought thing. Right? Great. You know what I want to fucking see from the built people? I want you to go and make your own fucking lug nuts too. Fuck no, you're not going to Home Depot. I want you to build. I want you to go fucking cast your own lug nuts. I want you to get an iron forge. I need you to do everything if you're all about built not bought. But jokes aside, no, like I think you're spot on there. Like, there's very, very, very few people that do things purely by themselves. Somewhere along the line, somebody did something for you, and then you're not doing everything from the ground up unless you're making your own turbo turbines and everything.
Yeah.
Like, somewhere along the line, you have to use a service from somebody else or buy something from someone else. And I think that's the best part about the car community is people are pretty, for the most part, usually working together.
Yeah, I agree.
Rant over.
I don't think there's anything wrong with getting help or anything. Obviously, like I said earlier, not everyone's gonna know everything, and I don't know everything at all. So I definitely need help here and there, but I just don't like the people who say that built not bought type of thing. Yeah, sure, you put the engine together, but did you handcraft that engine?
Right.
Did you, stuff like that? It's just like, sure, man, but to shit on people who buy a car that's built already. Right. Why? What's the difference?
And there's a lot of people too that are even in a 2,000 or 3,000 horsepower club that they don't know their cars at all. They just know how to drive them, race them maybe, and even then, like newer cars like GTRs, like they're a lot easier to drive than cars were 10 or 15 years ago on a drag strip. I met a guy who down in Tampa, and he the to-do list that he had in his head to get his car off the line at a drag strip is insane compared to what we do now. It's like, all right, floor it, got a trans brake, whatever.
Yeah.
So easy. So just that aspect too.
Yeah, I mean, to back off that, it's like, are you gonna look at a dude who, bought a UGR twin turbo Lambo and say, "Oh my God, it's bought not built"? No, it's fast as shit, and that car's sick. Like, that's how I look at it.
It's purpose built.
Exactly. It's like, dude, that car is fast. I don't care who's driving it. That car is fast. A built, bought, whatever. Someone built it, and someone bought it, and someone drives it.
Yeah. Somebody built it, I guess. Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I don't know everything, and I'm guilty of needing help a lot of the times more than not, to be honest. But the thing is, I try, and that's the big thing for me is I try to do what I can until I can't anymore. So that's that. But
I think that's a perfect spot to stop, unless you have anything for him, Sean.
We didn't really talk about your YouTube. I mean, I know we talked about like some of your videos and like, what you've done, but I kind of want to know like more like your thought on your YouTube. Like when did you start making videos?
Good point. Yeah.
So when I graduated, I moved up here by myself. My parents didn't live here yet, so I moved up here, and I was in high school. I was always going back and forth for, like I was telling you earlier, going back and forth for car meets and stuff, because there was nothing really like cool in Mankato. It's kind of a small town. So I kind of knew people up here already, and I kind of knew of the scene. And so I was involved in it, and I don't know if I can say it, but going street racing.
Of course.
Go for it.
We can talk about street racing.
Plausible deniability, man.
Yeah, so
we got AI voices now. We can fake anything.
Literally. Yeah. So growing up, like after I got my license, actually even before I got my license, I would literally drive up here on my permit. I hope my parents don't hear that. I would drive up here on my permit when my parents were gone, and I would go street racing and like just risk it, because like that was like the adrenaline was crazy. Like being able to do stuff like that, I felt like I was in Fast and the Furious, you know what I mean? So I was always coming up back and forth and being involved in the scene, and I started to get to know a lot of people. And when I bought this car the first time, when it was built by somebody else, it was making like 500 horsepower or so, and 4 years ago that was pretty fast.
Right.
So like I was putting up fights with cars that they considered fast out here, and people are like, who the hell is this kid from Mankato
With his permit.
yeah, and like putting on freaking 2 cars on a 500 horsepower Evo. And so, yeah, people started to get to know me, and I don't know if I want to say it, but I had to run one time from...
Been there, done that.
Yeah. I had to
we'll
do
both
that.
get in trouble with our dads. Don't worry about it.
I had to do that, and that's when my name really got buzzing, like, in the street scene. They were like, this freaking random-ass kid that nobody knows is out here racing people, and he just ran from the cops and whatever. And then I was like, dude, I had a GoPro on my head when it happened, so I have footage of it. And I didn't share it with anybody, but I showed people, and people were like, dude, you should start doing, like, YouTube videos of you street racing and shit. Nobody does that. And, like, I don't think anybody really does it, because it's, if you're really big and you're doing that, like, you're going to get caught real quick.
Right.
I mean, 1320 does it.
They do it pretty well, too.
Yeah, but they know how to do it without, like, getting caught.
Yeah.
But I got to figure that out still.
30 OGs.
But after that, I was like, maybe I will, you know? And then when I moved up here after I graduated, I lived with a couple dudes. We rented a house in Maple Grove, and they were all kind of trying to go like the, not influencer route, but like stock market route. Like, I don't need a day-to-day job. Like, I'm going to make money type of thing.
Yeah.
And one of them had a camera, a G7X, which is like the basic vlog camera.
Yep.
And I was like, shoot, can I borrow it? And he was like, sure. So I borrowed it. I did my first video. And another thing, too, was my Instagram. When I started my Instagram for the car when I bought it, it grew really fast, because at the time, not a lot of people were doing single turbo conversions on a V5 S4.
Right.
And not to take credit for it, because I didn't build it at first, but to have it and have it out there, people were like, whoa, this is cool. Like, he's racing a car that I don't really see often. And so when I started that page, I went up to like, I don't know, like 5,000 followers in like the first year, which is to some people not much, but to me that was like,
big, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. In a year, I was like, that's crazy. So then I had that, and then like people would always comment and be like, dude, why don't you do a YouTube channel, whatever. So then I just, for shits and giggles, I did my first video. I think it's called like I got gapped by a 335 or something. But I actually didn't get gapped. It was clickbait.
Yeah.
But it was actually a really close race. It was a LS swapped turbo 335. So not a normal 335.
Yeah.
But it was a really good race. And then I posted that video, and it had like a lot of love. And it, like, to average 2-3 some thousand more views.
That's huge.
A video is pretty good in my opinion at my rate. And 4,000 subscribers in just a little over a year, I think is decent, not bad.
Yeah, well, Sean, move your big ass head. How many views is that? Like, you posted a video 16 hours ago, and you're at almost 1,000 views. Like, that's huge, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17-minute video too.
Yeah, I don't know where the love came from, and I'm grateful for it, but just to see once I started producing these videos and throwing them out there, and to see people actually enjoy them, I was like, this is sick. I'm gonna keep doing this. And I kept doing it, and as I'm doing it, like, I'm learning things I shouldn't do, and learning like how to edit, and learning quality, and getting new camera setups, and just trying to figure it out along the way. And so far the process has been good, and I haven't had too much hate, but there's some people, but
there's always going to be.
It's the internet. What are you gonna do?
It's the internet,
YouTube
exactly.
comment section too is probably like one of the worst places to be besides Twitter.
Yeah.
No, I'd say Facebook is pretty bad, especially because like I said this on last week's podcast too, right? Like, everybody in Minnesota doesn't have shit to do in the winter, so they're just all toxic on Facebook in the comment section. So
that's facts. Yeah, that too. I kind of use this not even like because I'm big, but I've kind of used it as an excuse to do something like with my life.
Yeah.
Kinda. So
sense.
like I always am trying to figure out something I can do to make content. Not really obviously even for the money, because I mean I make a little bit of money off of it, but not much.
Right.
But it's more so just because like I really do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and I get to push myself out of my comfort zones, like building a fucking engine for my car I've never done before. I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't doing it for YouTube, to be honest. I probably wouldn't even have that car if it wasn't for YouTube.
Yeah. Pushes you to learn things, I think, and this is something that me and Sean have talked about too, because a lot of people, I'm very good at failing, right? Like and for whatever reason, I'm pretty good at making, you know, money from my passions, you know, and I think you're gonna be able to see that, especially over the next few years as you ramp up, because like again, you and I are very similarly aged, you know, 21 and 23, and one thing that I like to tell people all the time is it takes time, but if you're in it with a genuine passion, and it's sustainable too, like it's so easy to get money passively, in a way, not fully passively I guess, but in a way to do it. Like again, 1,000 views, I can't remember, it pays way more than it did 10 years ago, by the way. When I was trying to get monetized for fucking Minecraft videos, it was like $3 or $2 for 1,000 views back then.
Yeah, I think the big thing too is, like you were saying, if you have a passion for it, you work, in my opinion, I work so much harder on things that I have passion for. So it's like, I mean, it sounds stupid, but working a day-to-day job hasn't always been in my favor. I try, you know, every now and then, like I worked at a MOLA for a year or whatever. But it's like I don't have the motivation to get up and do it every day. But when it comes to this shit, like I'll literally work on this for 12 hours a day.
Grind it out,
It goes like that. Like I don't even realize it. So yeah, definitely being passionate about something, you can easily work very hard and do something about it if you continue to work hard.
I think that's kind of where, and there's a lot of, I actually was talking with a buddy today because he's trying to get that growth from his channels and from his TikTok and whatever, and I'm just like, dude, but you got to be 100% genuine with it. Now granted, you can grab that 15 minutes of fame with like 1 or 2 videos. That's so easy to do nowadays, you know, especially if you put a little bit of effort in. You can, there's a science to going viral, and there's a great Mr. Beast podcast with Lex Friedman that I watched a couple weeks ago. That dude was raising his hand to go to the bathroom 6 years ago, like, you know, and now he's 23 with 100 million plus subscribers. Like, there's a science to it. But I always tell people, like, if you're genuine, people come. Like, you're gonna eventually break out in your general audience, and that's why, like, you know, even though you don't think you're huge, you're a pretty big influencer in the Minnesota scene, regardless of how you see it. So, you know, being a micro influencer. So, that's my 2 cents.
To say that, what was that last thing you said? Something really stuck with me.
Something about being genuine. Well, it clearly didn't fucking stick with you, bro. If you remember it.
No, it came in my head. Being genuine. Yeah. You were saying it brings people to you. That's why I've been saying, like, I've been kind to. I obviously still do like the street racing stuff because that's like really people want to see the action of my cars is what they want to see. But that's why I've been kind of switching to.
Well, seeing yourself.
Yeah, seeing me, or like just like you said, one of my favorite videos of yours is me going to Arizona and picking up the car and whatnot. Like before, I would literally post polls and be like, "Do you guys want to see videos of like me, what I do in my life, or do you just want to see my car?" You know. So I've been trying to switch it more to about me.
A combo, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, you know, you watch AdamLZ because he's genuine, like you said, and because he's got a bunch of cool cars. I want people to watch me because they like me and want to see what I'm doing in life and my cars. So, yeah, I think genuine is a big thing. If I can get people to like me more than just my cars, then I think it'd be easier. But thank you for saying that I'm doing well.
I like to think so.
I'm trying, definitely trying, and in my opinion, I think it's not doing too bad either.
What a time capsule, man. Sean is currently scrolling through his YouTube channel over here on our TV, which you can't get on camera, unfortunately, but man.
Yeah, my drifting videos don't do good. I don't know why. People don't like my drifting videos. Well, it's kind of like with how I think you were talking to Brian about it on your last podcast about the different social medias and being able to like grab people's attention. TikTok was the first thing that blew up for me, and I would like to say that TikTok is probably the easiest thing you can blow up on.
At first, especially, yeah.
Yeah, like I went up to like 70,000 followers in like my first like 3 months on the platform, and then I just stopped posting videos because my car blew up, and now I'm like going down. I'm at like 63,000 or some shit.
The views are tough too.
Yeah, and but I really have grown my Instagram since then, and like my YouTube, I continue to post like at least once a week on both of them, and like I'm at almost 15K on Instagram now, and the YouTube continues to average well. So yeah, I think it's about what they want to see, and it's really hard to get them to see what they want to see.
Officially bankrupt. Like that's a title that interests me, you know?
Yeah. Well, I had to drop this when my Evo blew up the turbo.
Okay.
I was literally driving home. Actually, I was driving home from a photo shoot.
Okay.
My turbo just seized, had 0 boost, and I was like, what the hell? And at the time, that was my only car.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God damn it. So I had to fix it, and I had to drop $2,500 on a brand new turbo that day. So I'm like, God damn it, dude. There goes half of my fucking money.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I think you're going to be able to look at this. Like, and I do this with my photography, too. I love that Instagram has that feature, like the archives, and it shows something that you did like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like a time capsule. It's like, damn, I was really good back then, or I had a good back then, you know? So when you're bankrupt the next time, you can look back and be like, all right, we can make this work.
Yeah, I agree. I do sometimes. I don't like to watch my own videos, but I will go back sometimes. And honestly, like having these videos, I caught myself the other day doing it, helps me sometimes as a YouTube mechanic, because I'll look at a video and be like, how did I do that again? Or like what was there again? Like I don't have any pictures of it, but I know that I took a video of it. So yeah, it's nice, and I've had fun with it, and I hope it continues to do well, and I guess we'll see where it takes me.
Cool, man. I really like that. And yeah, you covered a lot about your YouTube, you know, what doesn't perform well, what does perform well, content that you do want to make, and hopefully you can keep making it, because it sounds like, yeah, you are enjoying it a lot and putting a lot of effort into it. So
yeah,
I'll keep watching. I like, you know, supporting local creators. So I'll keep watching and keep looking out.
Thanks, man. I guess my question for you guys is, you think there's anything I could do better?
That you could do better? Oh boy, I mean, I'd have to get obsessed, because I have friends that ask me that sometimes, or like, because like they'll see my stuff, be like, how do you do that? And I'm not perfect at it, but I know what not to do for the most part, and what does mostly well. Like we're trying to help Sean grow his like page or whatever. You know, just because again, he does cool shit. Like people want to see that Durango. Like I think we got a few thousand views yesterday when I posted it. So it's like people
especially with welds on it. That's gonna be
with
sick.
the welds. Yeah, we're literally gonna go. So it's 36 degrees up here in Minnesota right now. We're recording March 4th. So we're gonna go throw the welds on, get some photos in the snow, and then take them back off.
Yeah, that'll be controversial.
Yeah, well, of course, but it's like cool shit. Like again,
it catches attention. That's what it is.
Well, ultimately, you know, and I live in a mindset to where this can all disappear tomorrow. You know, like you see it with TikTok, right? Like I got 22,000 followers, cool, and I get 1,000 views with like no comments now, and then sometimes they'll ramp back up to a 500K.
Yeah.
All that can disappear tomorrow. Same thing with Instagram. So I remember it was like December 21st or whatever. I posted a twin turbo Viper, and that was like my biggest post ever, like 6,000 likes for a photo, and that's still my most liked photo. I think it might be even more now. And guess what? They switched that algorithm like 2-3 weeks later, and now I average like 80 likes a photo. That shit disappears. So the biggest thing I tell people is to diversify platforms. You don't necessarily have to post unique content on all of them.
Yeah.
But so you could take. Do you do YouTube Shorts yet?
I've done a couple. I mean, the first one I posted, I think, got like 70K.
Right, yeah. And I was looking at Mike's channel, the guy with the orange mouse. I think he goes by Mike, right?
Yep.
I met him like 4 years ago. I never met him in person again. After that, I just have him on Facebook, like from the Subaru days.
Mike's a clown, man.
Dude, I looked at his shorts, and he just posts a bunch of racing videos, and that gets people into his channel. So like that's the biggest thing I'm trying to push right now, because the CPMs on that are huge too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean, from my perspective, you're doing pretty good, but there's always something to improve. Like,
yeah,
just
definitely
more content, think about what you watch, right, and try to implement it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to get more content in the winter.
Definitely hard.
Definitely.
But that's why I'm doing things like going to Arizona and Vegas and stuff. I'm trying.
Yeah, but that's expensive.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
I'm pretty sure these YouTube videos aren't paying the
not
yet.
Flights
or the gas, but
yeah.
you know, at least it's doing like it is content in itself. So, but we live in Minnesota, so winter's like the slow time for car shows and content. So you really got to make up for it. But
definitely.
I definitely do think posting more content and like just being consistent is probably the best way to like do better. But you're already pretty consistent.
It comes with time.
It looks like how often do you post? Like at least once or twice a week?
I try to do like once a week.
Yeah.
But obviously in the winter it slows down a lot, so it might be like once every couple weeks. But
good.
I try to do at least 1 or 2 videos a month at the very least, with my limited resources with the winter.
Well, it comes over time too, and especially if you have any sort of side hustle or job to help support it too. Like that's the other thing that gets you going. Like that's why like I'll be starting a new job here in the next few weeks. That'll arguably help fund this podcast. Like this is my favorite part of my week, is doing this with Sean. You know, like I love doing the photography and all that stuff, of course. You know, and that's also gives me a little chunk of change to spend on this. But like, and then I still have some whiplash expenses to pay off. But no, dude, like it's obvious you're very passionate about this, and especially if you put a few years of work into it, and you never know when the algorithm will flip, or when you post that like 1 or 2 videos that really resonate with people, and just so just as long as you're putting yourself out there. So I think by the time you're 25 and insurance goes lower, I think you'll be good to go, in my opinion.
Right.
But I think we can wrap this sumbitch up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this was a really great episode. Thank you for coming on, man.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
It gets better every single time, and I'm really glad that you commented on my profile saying that you want to be on a podcast. Like when I saw the exclamation point, I was like, "Damn, this dude's excited!" Like, so
Dude, yeah.
No, really glad to have had you on, and I'm looking forward to hopefully we can meet up in Texas as well and do some fun stuff. So
for sure. Might have the Evo, might have the B5, but I'll be there.
Whatever it is, worst case scenario, we'll just throw you in our camera car. So.
Yeah, whatever works, man.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much.
Wait,
go for it.
Well, do you want to plug any of your channels, all your social media?
Oh, sure. Yeah. My YouTube is just my name, so it's Trae Moua, TreMoua. And my Instagram is SingleTurboNoggy. My TikTok is the same as my YouTube. The TikTok, I'm not very consistent on anymore. Don't really see the views like you're saying with the algorithm. But Instagram, I average really good on there. And
lately, same here.
Instagram actually pays really good too. So Instagram and YouTube are my most consistent places that I post if you want to see stuff about me. But yeah.
Cool. And then anybody that's listening, you can follow me at 1MNMopar. I just barely post, so don't feel like any pressure to follow me.
No, fuck you. Follow him. No, you should feel pressured. No.
All right, he's putting the pressure down.
I swear to God, I'm about to start managing your shit. No, but I'm really excited for that. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about some stuff after the show. And then, well, me, because this is the Monoxide podcast, but nonetheless, I really do appreciate everybody that's been giving a ton of support these last few weeks. Like last week's episode really triggered a huge amount of people to go watch the previous episodes. Like everything jumped in views.
It did for me too. I'm not gonna lie. I listened to the last one and I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to some more.
Yeah, no,
Thank
people.
you.
Yeah, I had people that I barely talked to or haven't talked to in years that reach out and they're like, man, like. It kind of sounds like you guys know what you're doing, but also like one guy, I'm not gonna directly mention him on the podcast, but he's like, I can't stand automotive podcasts because most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But you guys were actually, pretty easy to listen to. So it's just really awesome to see the outpouring of support, for something that we're just kind of doing for fun and
Right.
I don't know, man. Like I'm just kind of creating this either for people to learn from. you know, or just kind of go beyond the meet, you know, take you, like, because again, when we meet at a car meet, you and I can talk for maybe 5-10 minutes, and it's like somebody else comes up to us, especially since you and I have decent followings locally.
Right.
So just being able to have this, you know, ability to talk in a long form, I think people are loving it. So thank you to you, and thank you to the listeners as well.
Yeah. Do you have like some sort of code for a rally?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Dude, Sean is like the best co-host ever. I swear to God. So for anybody that wants to rally with us in May, the Community Rally, we'll be doing Community Corsa. So if you want to use code Monoxide to save $100 on your registration, go for it. I've been doing this rally for a number of years now. It used to be named the 10,000 Lakes Rally, or Rally of 10,000 Lakes, whatever. I've had fun. I've done 2 out of 3 previous events, and I know Daniel, who we will have as a guest here sooner or later. Regardless of what you may think of him as a person, because he is I think he's a cool cat, but I think that he puts on one hell of a fucking event. So please feel free to join us. We'll probably take the 1M, right?
Yes, 100%.
100%. Yeah, that's more of a rally car. So, but yeah, man. Thank you, Trae. Thank you, listeners, and thank you, Sean.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for having me. You guys are doing some cool stuff. So.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Appreciate it, and thank you for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Hopefully you guys don't hate me for not supporting all builds. Bye.